Daywalkers. How did we get here? Where are we going? That is literally not only the theme and the title, but literally this is a very, very different video, very, very, very different commentary. It's a compilation looking back over the last 6 months of the life of this channel, and putting together, summing up the first 15 episodes of the creator commentary videos that I've been putting out over the last 6 months. And you'll notice immediately, I want to tell you that this is an audio-driven video. I don't expect anyone to watch this from beginning to end, but as with most of my commentaries, I'm putting this together more or less for my own benefit. You'll notice that we've jumped straight from Blackburn, and we're suddenly at Laburnum. This is literally the very first video I ever put together and published. I've deliberately stitched together a selection, a compilation of the master videos that I've published over this 6 months, and I've just tried to shorten them by selecting just random bits of footage from those videos, but I've deliberately sped it up. It's playing at double speed, so it'll be a frustrating video for anyone to try and watch, which is why I want to tell you we're into the first 90 seconds of this video. Hopefully you're still watching and listening, but this is an audio-driven video where I want to just revisit, mostly for my own benefit, but also to give any other content creator or content producer an insight. Yeah, just to act as somebody sharing my knowledge, contributing, to the greater good of everyone trying to, create, publish, distribute these kind of videos. Not necessarily walking videos, but going to the effort of creating these videos. This is, I just want to go back over and just revisit how I've gone about doing this, but especially how it's evolved. And you can see we've jumped forward again. We're crossing the train line there. But what I want to do is just look to see how this has evolved, this content, how my style has evolved. There's been some very deliberate approaches, some very deliberate changes, some very deliberate strategies, some accidental discoveries, and something I never usually do with these commentaries is write down a bit of a list of things that I'm going to talk about, but I've done that here, and so I'm going to try and turn this into a menu for the video description later on. So here we are down in Box Hill, just approaching Box Hill, and what I want to start off by saying is what I see in this video is someone who's very tired. This footage was filmed while there was still stage 4 restrictions for COVID that we were living under in Melbourne, Australia, and this is towards the end of that 100+ days of strict stage 4 lockdown. So for all of you in Europe and Brazil, America, Canada, Germany, all throughout Europe, I watch the international news broadcast service. I watch DW News, I watch France 24, I watch Al Jazeera online, I read The Guardian. I know you're all living under these sort of conditions still and have done for 6 or so months, but at the time of filming, Melbourne was actually under the longest, strictest COVID lockdown restrictions in the world at the time, and you can see it in my in my first 3 videos. You can see it, you can hear it in my voice. You can see it. My energy's quite low compared to today in April 2021. But this leads into uh, my comments on mindset and approach. That My mindset and approach was just to have a go. I'd come across this style, this niche of content, and I thought that it made sense to have a crack at it. This niche of walking content to me seemed to be an obvious one to go after, especially being someone who never really wanted to be a YouTube content creator or publisher. But somehow just wanted to get things done, and having been in lockdown and having taken care of some family tasks, you get to that stage of, well, what's next? What do I do next? And I just wanted to come out of this COVID experience, just being able to look back and say, well, I did something with my time. Um, and I wasn't too sure whether this was the thing that I wanted to invest my time in. And I'll just segue slightly. This first video has many things had many things about it, not just the lack of energy and the on-camera presence. I really didn't know what I was going to say. In fact, the moniker of the bloke who walks just simply dropped out of my mouth the moment that I threw myself in front of the camera and started the recording in that first video. The titles, I'm still, I'm not really knowing what to do with the titles there. I've got some white, some yellow, but we're now into the second video, and it was really just about exploring, like how will I go about, like it wasn't foreign to me to walk around my local area with the camera. I'd filmed in 2016 some very lengthy train works over a year and a half, documenting that, using that experience to create a mockumentary series, which I'm also simultaneously publishing at the moment. I started to bring that out into the public, but I was really just filming my way, uh, finding my way, to be honest. And it was, yes, it was a way of keeping myself occupied. Yes, I could only do it within 5 kilometres of my home, but it was a case of, well, let's just try it and see what's going on. You see, the weather wasn't all that great. I was generally out early in the morning, and what my early videos suffer from is a lack of uh, people. That at the time we were only allowed outside for an hour at a time between in the daylight hours. There's a 9 o'clock curfew, so these videos really do suffer from a lack of activity around. You see, there's no one on the train there. Those people possibly going to work. I'm pretty sure you're only allowed to go out if you're going to work. And it was also a case of trying to make them look dynamic, which is why I took the opportunity on the spur of the moment. That was the express train going through to the city, and that sort of bleeds into my next point on my list of things to chat about as we're heading into the first 10 minutes. That shoot style. Well, the thing that drew me to this walking video content niche was, I figured, well, how easy can it be to, just walk up and down a street holding a camera and filming, and then stitch it together in the editing? I'd had some experience with editing, but that seemed to me to be a pretty good niche to go for, to just point and shoot, stitch together the footage, throw on some titles, and I also decided to use, it just didn't seem to me to be natural to just point and shoot. We're getting into the third video here, which is which is going from Blackburn to Mitcham, which is a walk I'd never done before, never thought I ever would do. It's about, well, it's literally the edge of the 5Ks. I've just remembered. But it seemed to me that the shoot style of just walking down a street, holding a camera at your hip, and just letting whatever activity washed in front of the camera as you were filming. To me, that just seemed a real no-brainer of something to have a go at. And that sort of appealed to me because I didn't want to go into too much time and effort of filming. Besides the walking videos, I watched other uh, YouTube channels before COVID, and the whole thought of going to this personal diary type YouTube creator channel just doesn't match my own personality. Whereas the walking video works for me really well, being behind the camera. I enjoy taking photographs. I'm enjoying learning to film. I feel like I've got a good eye for composition of frame and capturing things. I like documenting things. I've always liked documenting social history, uh, a long history of genealogy in my family, thanks to my mum. So it seemed to me to be, if I was going to pick something, if I was going to do something, the walking nature was the thing to do. And the shooting technique, well, it's just a case of just being unobtrusive. That I felt very self-conscious and do now also feel self-conscious of filming people. I don't like filming people without their permission. I feel self-conscious that everyone sees I'm walking around with the camera. I don't want to film people's faces. I definitely don't want to film kids when I'm out and about. Um, so it's sort of like I'm not trying to do it in secret. But I do make a point of you know wearing a high vis vest and making it pretty obvious that I am out filming and I am out doing something. And we've just jumped ahead from we've skipped the whole of Whitehorse Road and the Golden Mile. It's quite a stretch of a couple of k's that I've chopped out there in the edit. But the style of this particular video. I only wanted about 5 minutes of each video. Originally, I was going to put the whole lot in there, but that was way too ambitious, as I realised as I was editing. So I decided to aim for 5 minutes for each video. Some are 10-minute excerpts in this video. Some are five. Some are shorter, but most are around the 5 to 10 minute mark. They will jump around a lot, and I'm not going to apologise. This is an audio-driven video, so the footage is really just secondary at this point for my purposes today. So we've talked about COVID restrictions. I'll just spend a little bit of time talking about the choice of location. Um, so, and I'm going to repeat myself a couple of times as we go on. This video goes for about 2.5 hours. But what I wanted to do was, with the choice of locations, early on, as I said, I was restricted to 5 kilometres of my home. This is still the day that this video was created. Was within the 5Ks, and there's only so many directions you can go to keep it interesting. But I wanted to this particular route. I felt was a good choice early on. To go along the train line, I made sure I filmed the trains, took advantage of those. I think this was done on a Saturday, possibly. But later on, that choice of locations I just naturally integrated, you know, um, my choice of locations according to uh, any activity that I was, any journey that I was undertaking into the city at any time. With with the choice of location overall, I haven't really gone out of my way specifically to film something, but I knew once I'd finished shooting these first 3 to 5 videos, I knew that I didn't want to just walk up and down a street in the middle of Melbourne uh, and just say, oh, here's a video of walking up Burke Street, or walking down Elizabeth Street, or walking through Queen Street, or walking. I wanted to bring some sort of sense of purpose to everything, and I'll get into that later on. But the purpose became strategy. Like, why are we creating this content? There's got to be more to it. For me, there's got to be more to it than just aimless filming of things that don't really have a greater meaning. But in these early days, this is the second or third master video, I'll call it. I have been calling these, where I film for about an hour to 90 minutes, sometimes two, rarely two, and I chop them up into little segments. But just finishing off on about the location choices is that um, after I filmed these first 2 to 3 videos, we're getting towards the end of September. We're getting into the first week or so of October, and I was thinking, well, what am I going to film when I get out of my 5 kilometres? And it was around about this time that I realised that the Australian Open was being talked about in the media here in Melbourne in October 2020, that it was the 2021 tournament was going to go ahead. So it made sense to me to sort of launch myself in that direction. The next location was the Australian Open. And then after that, it became locations that were centered around events and culture, and that started evolving. But I'll talk more about that later. So, getting into now, chatting about master versus segment. I I adopted this strategy, and this comes off something that I heard years ago, and this just reminds me that everything that I'm talking about in this video, I've already talked about in episodes 1 to 15. This is the 16th commentary video that I've published. So don't think that this is the only time you'll hear me talk about this, because I'm skipping through a lot of different topics very, very quickly in this particular video. But if you take the time, and if you're really, really interested, and I know some people out there are, but just go back and have a listen to my other commentaries. I apologise that I haven't made the effort to document the menus of those videos at all, so it makes it easy to find exactly what you want to know, exactly what I'm talking about. But I did talk a lot about a lot of these topics specifically and only in one video at a time. Anyway, so getting back to master versus segment. So something that I came across a strategy 20-something years ago was when I was researching freelance writing. A bloke got up and spoke at a conference that I went to, and he said, as a freelancer, you should be thinking of your approach should be create something once and sell it many times. And that's the whole philosophy underpinning the content on this channel, all my channels, is I'm going to go out and film something once, but I'm going to use it many times. So as an example of that, this Blackburn to Mitcham video is a master video. It goes for about 2 hours, and it goes from, and this is all going back to how did we get here? Not how did we get here as like the location, but like the purpose. How did we get here? Where are we going? So that's what I'm looking to cover off in this particular video. But so the Blackburn to Mitcham one, and also this one, this video is Blackburn to the Forest Hill Shopping Centre. And I'm still in COVID restrictions here, actually, which is why I chose to film this one. This is coming towards the end. But the philosophy of a master video and then breaking it down into segments. So what I did with these first videos was that I broke them down. Say the Blackburn to Box Hill, the Blackburn to Surrey Hills. That's a 5-kilometre walk that goes through Box Hill and Mont Albert before getting to Surrey Hills on foot, and then walking back again. No, getting the train back again. instead of just filming it and putting up one long video, I broke it down into 4 different videos. So can you see that out of filming something once, I got 5 videos, and then I did a commentary video for that. There's 6 videos, and then so it's a multiplier effect that you're making that you've gone to all the effort of filming that footage, editing it, publishing it. Why not make the content work as hard as it can? Like, putting your money in a bank, you're trying to find the best rate of return. So by creating multiple videos out of the one set of footage, um, I'm trying to create I'm trying to expand my audience, or give the footage the best chance of being seen by more people by having more videos in the channel. And if anyone thinks that's cheating, well, I disagree. I'd contest that. I think that's just smart, to be honest. Because like if you look at a YouTube channel, I'm thinking right now of a girl in Korea who's got about 1.5 million followers. She puts up a 10-minute video every week, and she can't take an excerpt out of one video and put it up again in the same week or month like I do with mine, because she's got a dedicated following that are dedicated to seeing her once a week talk about a different topic for 10 minutes every week. Well, I'm working on the theory that, especially since this is a young channel, even though it's 6 months old, it's still young. You still got to give people the chance to find it. And what I'm finding is that people um, don't stay for the whole video yet. So why not? And then I've also learnt through my stats that people skip through the video. So like they might watch anywhere between 30 seconds and 7 minutes of one 90-minute video, but they might come back when the next segment is published, and they'll watch and see footage that they haven't seen before. So there's method there. Now, I'll just quickly comment on this particular section of the video that by this stage I was really aware that my I was really suffering from lack of activity in front of the camera. That there's just it wouldn't have mattered whether I went early morning or middle of the day, but because of the COVID restrictions, there was no one around. You're just basically filming scenery. It's a it's a nice park to walk through, but no rational, sensible person would think that that's a worthy location choice for monetized content on the internet. Having seen so many different types of content, what gets monetized, I mean, I would never sit down and watch a YouTube channel that just has gaming content, watching a replay of somebody playing a video game. So each to their own. But this was interesting to me, and it's like all of my videos. They're all interesting because they're all this is experimenting and finding out and discovering and just having a bit of fun with it. Like when I walk down this section of Blackburn Road, which at this time in the morning should be full of traffic going both ways in both directions at this time of morning, there's just no one. This is about 7:15 on a weekday morning. There's just no one there. So I'm just going to take a bit of time to keep chatting about this master versus segment bit. Now, you hopefully you've been listening. I talked before about the Australian Open as a target or a theme for the next lot of videos that are coming up. But what I discovered with this master versus segment thing, and now I can say this after 6 months, is that I ended up filming. I ended up filming 4 master videos for the Australian Open because I wanted to film walking from the middle of the city, and I should be talking about this when they're on, but I'm just going to talk about it now because I'm actually just filling up time until some footage comes up that I can move on to my next topic. But what I ended up doing by splitting those 4 master videos, I ended up actually with 36 videos about the Australian Open. Um, and that might have been a little too much, but I didn't know it at the time. Um, I was really, I really saw the Australian Open as a keyword-rich uh, target for people wanting content about the tennis, and it turned out to be a good learning experience. And I'll go into more about that later if I remember it. But here we are, coming up to, and are you, have you got used to the fact that all the footage is at double speed yet? I might just say that at the start and end of each particular video that I've chosen for this particular compilation, I do have the start and the end of each video at normal speed to help you work out which bit which. All right, so here we are in the shopping centre at Forest Hill, and it was during the editing of this particular video that I realised I could start creating teasers. I want to talk a bit about teasers because I found them very useful, because it was also another way of create something once, sell it many times. So say by creating a teaser for each video, so you might remember I said I created 6 videos for the first walk, which was from Blackburn to Surrey Hills. Well, by creating a teaser, that's an 8th video. So it also, a teaser, and mine tend to be between 44 seconds, 2 minutes long. Some teasers have been 4 minutes long, and then you have your longer normal videos around 8 to 10 minutes. But I figured that the teaser was a good way of hooking into the movie trailer analogy. Also, accounting for different viewers are going to have different attention spans. It'll be a good way of leading people who discover a teaser by accident, whether it's through a keyword search or browsing or a playlist, that'll lead them on to the longer video. The longer video will be the one that they watch. The longer video will be the quicker way to monetization. So, although yes, it does take a tiny little bit of extra time to create that teaser. But it gives you the chance to choose your best content. Um, uh, and stick that in. It gives you a chance to practice, less is more, which I'm a person, less is more is not something that comes naturally to me verbally in my writing, or as I found out in the videos. And it's, I'll chat about this later on, but it's taken me a long time to learn to put your best footage first. Although the teasers, and we'll see this with a video about the Australian Open coming up later on. The teasers actually, for a little while, they became the intro to a few videos that I thought maybe that was a way of introducing what was coming next. But it's a case of suck it and see. Sometimes it's a case of you think you're going to try something and it'll become second nature, and then you forget about doing it. Basically, my overall outlook is to just get on with it. Film the thing, edit it, get it published. So also early on, as we keep asking, where are we going? How did we get here? So this was exciting because this is the first video that I was filming with a definite strategy. So this was about the middle or third week of October 2020. And I set out with a plan. I definitely wanted to make something of the Australian Open. I saw a great opportunity to create. This was my first video filming in the city. The camera's pretty shaky there. Yes, it's at double speed, but also because I was filming in public in front of people for the first time. It was great to be back in the centre of Melbourne after 100+ days. And just enjoy being free to go out and about again. I can't remember whether we were under still those 1 hour. Anyway, so this was starting at the Art Centre in the city of in the centre of Melbourne, and uh, this was um, uh, I enjoyed making this video because the other thing I like about these walking video content, uh, that I'm basically walking around the city that I know the best. I don't have a car. I use public transport all the time. A lot of these places I'm walking, I've walked without a camera. Um, Melbourne is a great place to walk around. It's really interesting. Um, uh, Sorry, I'm just seeing these edit transitions, and I'm just realizing that this was one of the last videos, the only video where I tried zooming in, or and the technique that I swear to now is just keep the camera rolling, and don't worry about having short short uh, bits of footage to edit together. This was the first time I tried setting down the camera. Uh, now, ooh, so uh, now I've just got to make a note. Sorry, I'm just getting onto strategy. Um, so I was really keen to get this particular theme going, and this strategy theme I'm going to be talking about for 5 to 10 minutes. Because these Australian Open videos that are coming up as we go along, they will go for maybe 20 minutes themselves. But the strategy was to film 3 videos. The Arts Centre, starting at the Arts Centre, starting at an accommodation apartment complex on the west side of the city CBD, to walk from Richmond Station, and then I thought up a fourth one, which was to walk away from the tennis centre, to walk from the Australian Open through the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground, up to Jollymont Station, and then that became all I was publishing between the end of October. That took me right through till Christmas and a little bit beyond. And I got bogged down a bit. I didn't realise it at the time, but I got bogged down a bit. And the other thing that I realised, and I know now, is that I spent a few weeks. Uh, I spent a little bit too much time on just one particular theme. What I realise now is that there's no harm having a theme or having a target or having a topic, but I've realised that I was saturating my channel for a while with just a single theme, which was the Australian Open, and that was a good learning exercise as well, because it also gave me the opportunity to understand my analytics a bit more. I'm not really a stats person. I don't really like maths. I'm not a numbers guy. But even I could see, and I started to see that while, yes, the Australian Open was a great keyword search term popping up within my analytics, unfortunately, what took me a while to learn was that just because people were searching for the Australian Open and found the topic of the Australian Open on this channel, it didn't mean that they were looking for this style of content. Uh, so once that penny dropped, um, then I was able to integrate that into my planning and the way that I was going about thinking up other bits of themed content, that maybe having 4 to 5 videos plus a teaser plus a commentary that ran over a couple of months. Maybe that was best if I pulled back a bit. So it wasn't a mistake or anything. It was just a natural evolution of learning. And this is only the 4th master video. This starting from the art centre that I'd had a crack at. So you know, all this was ahead of me at the time to learn. But by this stage, I knew that I was enjoying making these videos. I knew that I was doing one thing that I really like to do, love to do, is talk about Melbourne, show Melbourne off to people. I've had jobs in the tertiary sector amongst international students. I've got a life history behind me of helping refugees settle into Melbourne. Like, I love everything about this city, and I think this walking video content channel is just another extension of expressing that wanting to share, you know, what is so great about Melbourne, how easy it is to get around, what a great lifestyle you can have, and how grateful I am to live in a place that has such a great climate, such a great city culture, events in the arts and sport, um, uh, uh, just a great lifestyle. So that's where this content suits my personality too. So we're in this particular video right now. We're not. We're about halfway, no, three-quarters of the way to the home of the Australian Open. And then it was a case of while I was filming, you know, how do you make an empty stadium or empty tennis courts? How do you make that look interesting? So, but it was all a case of making it up as you go along. And what I was absolutely um, so surprised, but so happy to find was that except for the main tennis arena, Rod Laver Arena, all these outside show courts were open. Um, so I was thrilled to find that, and made full use of that when I went back a second, a third, and a fourth time, as you'll see. So we're still on the topic of strategy, and so within that strategy, I've sort of basically touched on these 3 points: playlists, audience, and topics. So I've talked about topics a bit, but I just want to talk about audience for a little while. I was trying to avoid filming the water bottle there, and I knew that was going to make a great thumbnail, and it did. I just wish people would click on that thumbnail more. That's Merv Rose. Uh, but uh, with the audience, so yes, this is a walking video content channel, but there's got to be a greater audience out there, and that's what I'm trying to think of when I think up, well, what am I going to film? So I've made a deliberate decision that, you know, the walking video audience, and I know they're out there. There's people that just want to watch walking videos, but there's also got to be people out there that would like to be exposed to Melbourne and a subtopic or a segment about Melbourne, that they've got an interest in things about Melbourne. So it seemed natural to me to yep, let's latch on to the Australian Tennis Open. There's got to be people overseas who are dying to see the Australian Formula One Grand Prix, or they want to see the track. There's people that love Christmas, so that's how I came up with the idea of filming the My Christmas windows. And then once I realised that there was a natural audience segment within the international student education sector, which is Australia's third biggest export earner, well, it was a no-brainer to start filming around university campuses. So can you see how easy it is to generate content based on strategy? And that what I want to do is just try and share not just my insights into how I go about creating videos, but just the way you go about things is so important. And I'm imagining that I'm sitting opposite a person here in the room at the moment who's never created a YouTube channel, who doesn't know anything about marketing or communications or public relations or strategy, and is doesn't know where to start. That's what I'm trying to impart, a bit of knowledge and life experience, is that don't worry about not knowing all these things. Like, you can actually start without having much of an idea about what to do. I'm just laughing because I've noticed the footage is slowed right down. For some reason in the editing, I've taken this right back to normal speed, and it should be going at a far faster pace. Anyway, so if I can flip that comment about don't be afraid to start, like I could very well myself have never made a start on any of this by saying to myself, well, I've got a pretty average camera. It's not built for creating video content. It's really just a digital snapshot camera. But I didn't want to make that investment, so I figured let's just have a go. Let's just see what happens. I didn't even have a clue when I started off if it would be something that I stick with or have the discipline to keep doing, or the interest, would it maintain my interest. And here we are 6 months later, and I've found that I'm working on it 5, 6.5 days a week. Now this is a teaser. This is the first teaser I made up that was 44 seconds long. You can see that I'm still introducing the videos. It did take me a long time to get comfortable within myself, like what sort of intro do I want to do, and again, how do we get here, where are we going? And this is probably a good time to talk about shoot style, so I'll just jot down the time marker. So do 40 minutes and 30 seconds, so we've been going a while, haven't we? There's another hour and a half to go, but I'll just spend a little while talking about the shoot style and how that's evolved. So you can see by now this video is very, very different to the first couple of walking videos around Blackburn, my local area. Like, especially with this one, like I'm filming this with a definite strategy in mind, which is to start at an accommodation apartment complex in the city, where I'm trying to think of people who are overseas, who want to know about accommodation in Melbourne, want to know about how to get to the Australian Open from their accommodation. This is the extreme western edge of the CBD in Melbourne. You can literally just get on the tram here, and this video aims to show that by catching this tram at this location, you only have to change trams once, and get on a second tram after a short walk. So this is all about this is getting beyond the walking video content. This is all about information, education, very low on entertainment. Educate, entertain, and inform, which is the themes that I've tried to put into every video. Entertainment aspects, obviously, with walking video content, is going to be pretty low. But hopefully you'll find this tram ride entertaining. And filming on public transport so far hasn't been a problem. It could be problematic, as you can see. It was tricky. And now we've moved into double speed. This footage is going at double speed. And it could be problematic if someone was to say, well, why are you filming me? Which they'd be quite entitled to do. But the shoot style, by this stage I was getting a lot more comfortable with what I was doing. I wasn't, by this stage, feeling as self-conscious as I had been when I started out. I was possibly practicing my intros a tiny bit. I wasn't so fixated that everything had to be perfect while I was filming the intro or the beginning of the video, but at the same time, my number one consideration for filming is keep the camera going no matter what. basically, and don't, whatever happens in front of the camera is what ends up in the video. Like, I think it's really important with these walk-in video this walk-in video content is that it's, you know, it's just capturing a slice of life happening in that moment. That I'm not interested in trying to contrive anything. I'm not interested in trying to you know, make it seem as if something happened in front of the camera exactly then, when, you know, what I did in reality was stand around for 40 minutes and wait for something to happen. Like, it literally is capturing life as I'm living it, from beginning to end. That's one thing I'm determined to do. But and at the same time, like, I'm not too worried that um, that uh, that I can't stop. And this was the first time that I did this. I was thinking, well, I might just film this particular intro for the segment part of 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 this particular video, which was, you know, a video going from walking from the city to catch the tram to the Australian Open. So that gets back to that whole strategy of, you know, master video and segment video. Um, so in terms of the evolution of the shoot style, well, one thing I decided definitely by now was that I wasn't going to stop and start um, um, as I was filming. That I once I'd pressed record, that I was just going to keep the camera rolling, because it's far easier to edit than muck around with lots of little, you know, 30-second or 90-second or 2-minute footage. And you can see that we're still in some sort of, you know, high stage restrictions here, in that non-essential shots aren't allowed to be open at this stage. And this was on a Friday morning, I think, as I recall. And look, you can see it's still incredibly empty. And so another thing that evolved, and I'm just going to be thinking out loud here, so apologies if it sounds like I'm losing my train of thought. But one thing I wasn't afraid to do, and that's because I'm always dressed up in a high vis vest, so it looks like I'm. I do get people coming up to me at tram stops asking me for information about trams, or people asking me construction related or traffic related questions. But I'm just going to pause here.
And I'll point out all the landmarks, all the places that you need to know to get on foot from the centre of Melbourne to your Grand Slam tournament seat at Melbourne Park in whatever year you choose to come.
And the camera's rolling.
Bye for now. See you in the next video.
One thing that evolved, and this was early on, because while there was hardly any people around, it seemed to me that the last thing people would want to see was just an empty street, a camera walking down a very long empty street. And you can see the footage has slowed down here, that this is the end of this particular video. Oh no, I wanted to just catch. This is one of my favourite bits of footage, actually. This looking up here. Anyway, so it seemed to me that the last thing people would want to look at would be a camera just walking straight down a street, no cars and no people. So I evolved. I worked out this technique of zigzagging from left to right, backwards and forwards across the footpath as I was progressing forward, not in an obvious way, just sort of drifting. And I found that was a way to keep things interesting for me as well. And it kept me concentrating, because I suppose one thing you can do while you're filming is lose your train of thought. And the great thing about this camera that I've been using for the last 6 months is that it only records 10 minutes of footage at a time. So I've got to be on the ball and always thinking, well, when do I have to be starting up the next segment of footage, and that kind of helped me stay very present in what I was doing and concentrating on what I was doing. Um, but yeah, the zigzag technique, I think, has been really a really good accidental find. As we're on the tram here, speeding down Flinders Street, the footage at double speed. Um, uh, that it gives, instead of swishing the camera from left to right or up and down, which are not really conducive to you know retaining the viewer. Uh, that it helps give a sort of a scope and a bigger context of what's around. Because I suppose one of the drawbacks of these um, walking video footage is that the drawback is that you lose that sense of what's around, um, what's going on in the peripheral vision that the camera doesn't have. So and as we get off the tram uh, and walk down to the Australian Tennis Open, um, I might have cut it out of this particular today's video, but yeah, walking back from left to right just gives that sense of what's on either side of the camera, gives the viewer a sense of what's around, what's in the larger scheme of things, the environment. So there, I could have walked straight down the tram tracks there, but you wouldn't if I didn't. Well, I did swing. Well, it looks like the edit, because I've got everything playing at double speed. Yes, it does look like I swung the camera around violently. Now, uh, an extension of that zigzagging is that I started very early on. I realised that if I walked in a very large semicircle, I could do a 180-degree turn, which wouldn't appear too sudden to the viewer, and then by keeping and going around that 180 degrees, it gives an idea of what's behind the camera, and without taking up too much time, without losing the viewer. Now, another thing that I started doing, this is what I meant to do earlier, but I started. Now, I'll talk about this in the editing later on. This particular bit, a bit more. Hopefully, I can remember. But another filming technique that I'm patting myself on the back about is that uh, I decided to just put the camera down for 5-10 minutes. And that happened accidentally one day because when I was coming back on the train from Surrey Hills from shopping in about the second video, I wanted to get a coffee, and because it was very early in the morning, it was about 6:45, 7 o'clock, and I decided to put the camera down on the side of the road, and I walked across the road in front of the camera, and I thought that'd just be fun. I thought that'd just be fun to do. And the funny thing was, while I was waiting for my coffee, on the other side of the road, watching the camera, the exact thing happened that I was worried about. That there was a couple walking their dog, and they came down the street, turned the camera, and both of them at different times saw the camera. I was nervously watching whether the dog would actually go for it, and the woman actually called out to the man. He actually walked back. They walked about 10 metres up the street, and he actually came back because she'd said to him, "I think that's a camera there." And he went back to check, and I was ready to run across the road shouting, "That's my camera. It's all right. Somebody owns it. I'm just watching it while I wait for my coffee." Anyway, another thing that's evolved and wasn't too hard to incorporate into my filming style is that when the camera, particular camera, points it directly into the sun, there's this fantastic effect that naturally occurs. It's just this purple flare from top to bottom of the frame, And not being a technical person and not being a person that, I'm not a cinematographer, but I love the look that creates for my video content. I really like that look. I've always liked it. And that came in very handy on my walk from Blackburn to Mitcham, where I was walking directly into the sun, and I couldn't see a thing, and I was really grumpy, walking up alongside the train line, thinking, "Oh, this is a waste of time. This will turn out terrible." But wouldn't you know, the camera magically turned it into something that was very watchable, and I was really pleased with the way that turned out. Now, I'll just mentally pause that this particular video is the accommodation to Rod Laver Arena. I decided to use the teaser as the end of the video, and you're seeing that Flinders Lane footage for the third time. So instead of wincing, I'm hoping you're seeing that method of create something once, sell it many times, coming to the fore. And in this next video, which is walking from Richmond Station to Rod Laver Arena, again, I'd created a teaser. And what I was trying to do, I dreamt up this technique of creating a preview, because I was a tiny bit, by this stage I was starting to get conscious of my stats, and I was conscious of, I'd started to realise and learn that the people, maybe they didn't want to see a, a bloke in his mid-50s with grey hair stammering into the camera. I started to realise by this stage that my intros were taking up to 90 seconds of the first 90 seconds of my videos. And with this video, when I was editing it, I'd watched a couple of walking videos to sort of just orientate myself a little bit again. And I realised that some of these walking video content channels are actually, they were just going straight into the walking. There was no intro, there was no one on camera. I suppose, being the age I am, I'm just used to seeing videos and films that have a beginning, a middle, and end. To me, it just made perfect sense to stand in front of the camera at the start and introduce it. But this particular video, I realised that, maybe people don't want to see me for 90 seconds and then walk, take about 2.5 minutes to walk from the platform to Swan Street. And then maybe people aren't watching my videos because actually, they're clicking out after 30 seconds or 40 seconds, and they don't realise what's coming up afterwards. And this is where I decided to invest a bit more time in editing. And we'll get on to editing in a couple of minutes. But this video was really, and here's the zigzag technique. Perfect timing, the zigzag technique, and the turning, to see what's behind. Now, I could have walked straight up that ramp, and that would have looked pretty boring. You wouldn't have really seen the shrubbery on left and right. And I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm thinking of Monty Python and the Holy Grail and the shrubbery. That would have been pretty boring. You wouldn't have seen that. They've gone to a lot of trouble, and now it's a few years since this has been constructed, that the landscaping has really taken off. Now, I made a conscious effort in creating this video that I decided, by this stage I realised I better have some action in this video. So, there'll be a lot of turning of corners from here on, walking up and down stairs, people riding or cycling past the camera. So yeah, I think a lot of those camera styles that have evolved, I think they're working. Anyway, you can tell me in the comments section if they're not. Now, what I'd like to get onto here is music, as we get onto we're finishing up the first hour, and this footage is actually a segment video. The segment video that I made for this, which is from Melbourne Arena to Rod Laver Arena, is easily one of my least popular videos. I think it was published in the end of November, and it's had about 5 views, and all of those views are under 30 seconds. So it just goes to show, doesn't it, that you know, you just don't know what works. Like, I understand why it doesn't work, because like there's nothing to see. There's nothing to see but empty ovals, empty streets, a bit of traffic, and it goes on. That woman just was always jogging in front of me, um, and the lone cyclist, people walking dogs. With the music, I just felt. Here's the zigzagging going up the hill, but with the music, it just seemed natural to me, as well as having an intro. It made sense to me to have music. So up until this stage, I was still having music in the first. It was accompanying the video intro, and then the music just ran out its natural course. So if it was 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it was, and I was using nil copyright music from a website called bensound.com. I was very reluctant to use YouTube music because it's just so common and overused. I also wanted to use music. I spent quite a bit of time, vetting what music was there available. I wanted it to match my personality. I wanted it to match. I wanted it to be energetic. I wanted it to be happy. I wanted it to, be something that would be a soundtrack to the video. Now, as things have evolved, uh, in especially in the last couple of months, I really have reached a stage where music definitely is no longer important to me to have in these videos, because um, I have, since the middle of January this year, I've been dealing with some copyright notices from YouTube, where one track that I used off Bensound, that, that that copyright owner for that music has put a notice on. So I've had to spend a lot of time. I contested those, and I'm pretty sure I've lost them all. I think I've lost them all. It's only that I can just remember the ones that I've just actioned this last week, where I lost an appeal notice, and that's just time that I don't want to be spending. I don't want to spend time dealing with copyright notices, and I've got to a point now where it would be great to have music, but there's two things going on where I know for sure, as we hit the Yarra, and again I've put the camera down because it was just such a great morning that morning, that I just wanted to stop and share the moment. I've experimented here. You'll see the camera, even though the footage is edited going at double pace, you can make out that I've got the zoom on, the slow zoom in. So the camera is doing that, the camera setting. So I was just experimenting there. So again, the lesson is, don't be afraid to experiment. I've only done it this once. But in looking at some other walking video channels, I kind of realised, well, um, most of them that I'd seen don't have music. Um, I don't know that music was especially an attraction to viewers of this channel, or in general. I don't know whether it improves the overall viewer experience for this type of video. Um, so I suppose I've got to a stage. What was the second thing? Uh, I suppose I've come to a realization where maybe music isn't an integral part of this content. It doesn't need to be there. Maybe it's the more ambient aspects of these videos. Is the street noise, the noise of the traffic, the birds singing. But at this stage, like, this video is still being filmed in November, December. 2020. So I'm still in the first 3 months of learning what's going on. Um, so I suppose from now on, you'll probably find that the music won't be a huge part of this particular channel. But for my other channel, this public transport life, which is a vehicle for a mockumentary character I've got, um, uh, uh, Waterman, which is all about some level crossing removal works here in my local area. Like, music is incredibly important to the soundtrack of that footage. So I've got three that are for the three different iterations of that character in the different filming styles and the different topics of that footage. Um, so now talk a bit about editing, as we're only a minute five, and I'm making notes here because I'm making a menu for all the viewers. So the editing style has evolved a lot. So one of the, if I go back to even before I started, I'm not a technical person, but I had some experience with editing. I'd edited my own acting show reels. Um, that was about as much as I'd done. And then I edited some spec episodes for this Waterman character on the other channel, This Public Transport Life. So I wasn't a stranger to editing. I've got a great knack for picking up things. So the idea of editing didn't worry me. Um, I as I've said before, the great attraction about this niche of YouTube, this channel. I thought I was in luck that day when the ducks were there. That they walked past the camera. I've got it on Zoom. I thought that I was going to get a bit of the cat video market there. People who like wildlife. No such luck. Anyway, so I wasn't too worried about the editing. As I said, the thing that attracted me to this niche content, that you could just film while you're walking around and stitch the content together, and it'd be all pretty straightforward. Well, do you know what I found? I found that the editing has been a lot more time consuming um, than I realised. Um, I don't know how to do it any quicker. I don't think it's got anything to do with the software. I don't know that software. I mean, you think about content management systems. I mean, it doesn't matter what content management system you use. You're still going to have to um, uh, copy and paste content into the title box, the description box, the this box, that box. It's the same with editing software. So I'm not using Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm using a more unknown software, Filmora 9. When I started, I wanted to use Movie Maker out of Windows, but that's no longer live. So I had to invest $100 in Filmora, and I'm happy with it. Like, it does all the things that I need it to do. It was fairly easy to pick up and to learn. Um, it, it doesn't have a great functionality when it comes to stabilizing the footage. Uh, Windows did have a great way of stabilizing footage. So I've lost out a bit there because the first couple of videos I edited, I did have a crack at stabilizing. It just takes too long to render, and I decided very quickly that I wasn't going to be bothered stabilizing the footage. I was going to live and die by the footage I had, and I figured that if the videos were well made, if I optimized the channel 100%, um, did everything I could uh, to make the videos as best as I could. Um, that that that's all I could do, and that's definitely been the case. Um, oh dear, there was a black spot. I can't. I I still get I still get shocked a bit when I see something that looks like a mistake in the final edit, because this took 3 hours to render and edit, to publish last night, and it's going to take another 3 hours because I couldn't record the audio for this, while I was editing it. Like, I've that's another. Oh, that goes into editing. I did try creating a commentary using the editing software, and it just didn't match up properly. So now I always publish a final edit and commentate to the final edit, and then put it stitch together the audio and the edit, and then put it up. So yeah, it is a bit time consuming, but I don't mind because I like doing things properly, to have it come out the way I see it in my head. Now, you'll be seeing this teaser trailer. It's possible that I've got, at this point in time, what I started doing with, I've just this is part of the editing commentary. This is part of the editing topic of this particular commentary. Is that what I decided to do every time I created a teaser, whether it was 44 seconds long or 90 seconds or 2 minutes long, is what I started doing was stitching them into a video all of their own. And so that became two trailers together, three teaser trailers together, 4 or 5, and it's got to the stage where I've got 10 now. I'm not creating teasers as often as I used to, but I also saw teasers as a way of building up content quickly, and it was a way of creating another playlist. So obviously the playlist um, had the separate teasers within it. Then it had the stitched together teasers within that playlist. And then what you'll be seeing in some of these videos, in this particular compilation video, is that you'll see that I started putting teasers for different videos at the end of a particular video, as a way of saying, well, here's a preview, here's what's coming and going to be published in the future. Can you see what I'm getting at? So again, it's a way of trying to create interest, create demand, create audience retention, and just another way of creating content out of the same footage. I can't stress that enough. Create something once, sell it many times. Like, just because you make one video for one channel, why can't you repurpose that same footage for the same channel? So have a think about it, even if you're not a walking video content creator. Um, Now, this is where I was starting to get into a mindset. Well, what other topics after the Australian Open can I have a go at? Now, this was a really specific teaser I created, obviously around Christmas, as you can see the banner dropping down, and I wanted to create this sense of what's behind the curtain. So that's why there's a very short shot of the theatre behind the tram parking in front of the camera. But this all hooks into editing style, and that particular teaser was one of the first times that I deliberately used the editing titles within the software, to create teaser text going across the top, to just try and get a bit of conversation
If
going, catch the magic before it
you're new viewer to this channel,
before it disappears. There you
subscribe
go.
to
That's
this
a play on
channel.
words,
It's
so
not
double
just about
meaning.
tennis,
Now
it's about Melbourne to
this
share
particular
the best of
teaser,
this city
um,
with all
I
around the world.
I filmed it
The
on the spur of the
personality
moment as I
and
was
culture of
filming
Melbourne
down
is
at the
premium on this
Australian
channel.
Open show
I'd
court
encourage you to
2, I think it was.
subscribe to this channel.
I
It's
just
not
on the
just about
spur of the
tennis,
moment
it's about
came up with
Melbourne,
this idea of filming a piece to camera,
and it's my
that explained
goal
what
to
this channel
share
was all about.
the best of
That I
this
felt
city
like
with people
by
around
this
the
stage
world
I
through this
definitely
content
realised, and I'm
channel.
still talking about editing here, I definitely
So please come
realised
back
that
again,
viewers,
and we hope
I'd been
that all you
focusing a little bit too much
are
on
going to be talking about
the Australian Open. Now,
general
how this relates to editing is you'll
things
see a lot of quick
on this
transitions
tournament.
and repetition within this one particular video, which is the topic is why this particular channel, and that was the 44-second version. And the reason why there was all those quick changes was because I didn't have a script. I don't believe in scripting my videos. I don't believe in scripting the words or the action. So there was a lot of me searching for the words and the right thing, the right selling points I wanted to iterate in the video. And so what I used in the edit was I just chopped out all the gaps in the thought to get them coming quickly together. And then another thing, and here we are. Luckily I've remembered to talk about it. Is in filming around this statue, when I was editing one of the first teasers for the Australian Open, was that I just accidentally, accidentally on purpose, it sounds impossible, but you can do it accidentally on purpose. I accidentally on purpose sped up the footage around the statue, and suddenly some footage that was uh, very mundane, just circling the base of a statue, filming upwards, um, suddenly became very dynamic and very alive. And I was so happy with that technique. And I've used it in so many teasers since, and I've used it in the series about the statues down at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, which is um, the Australian sporting legends. So I went around the whole of the outside of the MCG filming those statues, and the same technique. Just filmed it, composed a shot with the statue in the far left of the frame or the far right, sped it up in the editing, and suddenly it takes on a whole different dynamic, and you can see it here now. So at the moment, the footage is right in the middle of this compilation of 10 teasers in a row. And with a lot of these, I'm just having a lot of fun, basically. Because the great thing about a teaser, it's only 44 seconds long. So if somebody doesn't watch the whole lot of the video, well, it's only 44 seconds. It's not going to be in danger of not being monetized. But you can start to see here that these 10 teasers being in one video, it's really bringing the channel to life. I think that you're really getting a great sense of, how much area is this guy covering that he's filming. All right, so that's the end of those. How did we get here? Um, and I'll finish off this editing commentary uh, section of this commentary with the best footage first. Editing the best footage first. So it's taken me, even though I picked up the tips from one of those big YouTube tip channels from a bloke in Canada, it's taken me a long time to learn. There's two sides to this, or two elements. So the tip that I picked up from this guy in Canada, and I was trying to implement it, and I was implementing it by this stage. That I've got this, I spent a bit of time filming these university campuses. Uh, you've got to hook people in the first 30 seconds, and if they're not going to watch the first 30 seconds, they're not going to watch the whole video. So I was trying to adhere to that technique, but one thing that it's taken me even longer to learn and longer to implement is put your best footage first. And for me, that's almost becoming a golden rule of editing: is put your best footage first. And this is actually a good example of that. Where are we going? How did we get here? So for this particular video, if you go back to the start of this video, which is around about the minute 16 mark, you'll see that the intro to this video does not match what comes next. So I'm introducing this video, which is ostensibly about walking around, Melbourne University and other university campuses in Melbourne, as part of our international student education series, which goes back to my earlier commentary about strategy and playlists and audiences and topics. So why am I introducing this video from standing in the middle of Albert Park, which is the home of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix? Well, I I I realised like there's no rules, is there? Like, is there really any rules that you have to follow? Well, I think that there's parameters and I think that there's styles, but I think within those, you can really just make up your own style, and it's like the premiere of a new TV show, isn't it? Like if you think about a show called The Wire from the mid 90s, like that show and Seinfeld, the same. They just took so long to find their feet, and eventually the drip became um, a running water, and the running water became a torrent, and the torrent eventually needed a dam to catch all the audience. Now, I see this channel as having the same analogy applies. Is that there's an audience for this content. We know that walking video content. We know that there's a demand for it. We know that people want to watch this sort of content. Now, uh, there is an audience. I know for sure there's an audience for this style of content within the walking video niche. It's just going to take a little bit of time for that audience to find the content. And the reason I know that that there's a demand for it is because up until today, after 6 months, I've got 16 subscribers, whereas 3 months ago I only had maybe 11 or 12. Uh, as of yesterday, I had 39.6 hours of watch time, whereas around about the start of the year it was around about 24. My most popular video yesterday had 62 views after 1 month, and it has now gone to top spot, whereas the previously ranked highest video, most popular video, had 57 views, and it took 5 months to get there. So can you see? Can you see about the laws of attraction, momentum, um, um, and all those other words that I can't think of at the moment because I'm a bit worried I've got dementia. But it just takes time for something to take root and to grow and to get traction. And I know that I know that there's an audience for this, and I know that I'm going about it the right way, and I know that I'm optimizing the channel to within and into its life. And all it is, it's just there's and this is still talking about the best footage first. That the best footage is yet to come because it's last Wednesday I put into action. About 6 weeks ago, I realised from the stats that it's probably the audio and the footage is holding this channel back, and that means I've got to upgrade the camera, and that's what's on its way from the Sony ZV-1 vlogging camera will be replacing the digital Olympus, um, and it's on its way. It's gone from Hong Kong to Japan to Guangzhou, China. Now it's in Singapore, and it's gonna it's gonna land exhausted on my doorstep Thursday, the 8th of April at 5 o'clock. So the best footage is yet to come, and the best footage will come first. So so that actually segues perfectly. I didn't look at my plan, my speaking plan, but that segues perfectly into equipment. Now, I've already touched on, as we've got about 40 minutes left. I've already touched on the fact that you shouldn't let equipment stop you from creating content. I decided to go with what I had because I've been using this camera for 6 or 7 years. It's not built for video, but it takes video, and it's so convenient, easy to carry. I in late October, early November, I invested in replacement batteries, and you can see we're now looking at the dedicated video I did where it's talking to camera portion of the video, where I'm specifically addressing the audience, which the audience for this particular content made was international students and their parents, and also by association, international recruitment agents. I'll talk about that a bit later on. Hopefully, I won't forget. So, getting back to the equipment, I made a decision that just because I didn't have the best camera and the most the camera that was most suited to this style of filming, and I didn't have a gimbal, I didn't have a stabilizer, I didn't have a lapel microphone. I decided to create these videos anyway because I didn't. I'm not the sort of person. I am the sort of person I'll spend money on something, not knowing the what's how it's going to turn out. But I couldn't see a valid reason for spending money on a new camera when I already had one. I needed to find out. I needed to experiment. And the beauty of the fact that I have been using this camera, and I have only got 16 subscribers, and I have only had 39 hours of watch time after 6 months, is that it's allowed me the space and the time and the opportunity to evolve, to make mistakes, to find my feet, to find my voice as a creator, to find my way as a producer, and to find so that when those people do start coming, they're not going to go back into my library of videos, I don't think, and watch these old ones. So I'm not. I would like them to, but I don't think they will. So here we are. Where are we going? How did we get here? Is that so? How we got here? I made a definite decision to use the equipment that I'd had. I'm laughing because I didn't edit that bit. Those titles are over each other. But we got here because I decided to just take a chance on what I had, and it's worked for me. It's worked for me, and yeah, it's I've been a bit self conscious at times about the footage isn't that stable, but I learnt to adapt my body movement to try and minimise it. I started to. I've taken a great deal of pride from day one in the finished product, so I do take time to edit out very shaky footage. I do take time to put in transitions where it helps and makes sense, except for that bit.
Dennis Lilly.
Oh dear. Anyway, but again, this is an audio-driven video, so if you're worried about if you're worried about the titles not being properly edited, well, neither am I. Because I'm not, because this video is about me telling you where are we going, how did we get here, and you can go back into my playlists and watch these videos as they were meant to be watched anyway. Please do. Yeah, I think I'm it's going to be hard having two cameras using the Sony, leaving the Olympus digital on the shelf. Will I ever use it again? Probably not for videos anyway. But it's just necessary. Like I think after 6 months, I can see that I definitely want to stick with this. I definitely want to keep going. I definitely think there's more growth. Um, Am I a person that believes in monetization and everything? Well, no. But am I a person who likes using their time productively and like there's an old saying, do what you love and you won't work a day in your life. And when I make these videos, it doesn't feel like work. And although it doesn't give me an income at the moment, it does give me satisfaction, and that's all we can ask for, isn't it? So I've briefly touched on this, but it's a good segue. Audience. Uh, Audience. So, as I said before, I'm not big on stats. I'm not a numbers man. This channel um, uh, isn't really being driven by stats, but but stats, it can be a bit like Pavlov's dog. Um, and the worst parts of social media, where it is starting to become something that I'm very conscious of, um, a lot more than I would like. But I suppose it's just going to be a natural extension of running one of these channels, isn't it? But so the stats, I didn't know what to expect. I'd had a YouTube channel for quite a few years. It was really just to hang acting show reels off. I didn't care about stats. I never looked at them. When I created this channel, I really didn't know what to expect. Um, I didn't know what sort of viewership I would get. So in the first 3 months, um, hardly any subscribers, which is fine. The watch time, rarely over 5 minutes. How did we get here? Where are we going? That's why this video exists. So this video channel exists for an audience, and I think I think this creating these videos is a form of self-expression, and you do like to think that what you're creating is getting seen, and that's it. That's with anything. Now, just quickly going over why do I like creating content? Well, I can tell you that when I was in my mid-30s, I had to go at amateur musicals, and no one came to watch them. In 2004, I started writing, with a serious outlook, serious as in like I was having a go at it properly, as opposed to never having had a go at it, never knowing I wanted to have a go at it. And it's never, a lot of stuff that I've written has never been read. Then that rolled into writing scripts and creating script readings and producing script readings. And so without wanting to without wanting to get into too much personal territory, what I liked straight away immediately about creating videos was that I was able to think of an idea. I was able to conceive an idea, conceive a concept, uh, execute a strategy, execute the filming, the editing, film, edit, publish, and it's being seen. And I think that's the most satisfying thing I can identify about creating content for YouTube at the moment, is that I'm seeing the results. I'm seeing more results about what I'm doing than I ever have for anything creative that I've done up until this point. So I can see that people are watching the videos, they're subscribing, I can see the watch time, I can see that people are coming back, some of them. So that's what I like about it. So the stats are starting to become something as my neighbour just walks past. So about so there's two ways the stats have influenced this channel. The first thing is that I came to realise about maybe 2 months ago that yes, maybe I had to acknowledge that the camera and the audio quality was definitely affecting a lack of growth in this channel. And you're only human when you admit to yourself. Well, you want people, you want people to be interested in what you're doing, even if they're strangers and they're watching on the internet and you're never going to meet them. But you're going to the effort of creating this stuff. You want to see a return on your investment in the stats. A return on investment of time is what I'm talking about. Return on investment of time and effort put in. So I had to say to myself, how did we get here? Where are we going? And I put this particular section of the video in is because I felt it was really important to talk to the audience and let them know what was coming up over the course of the year. So feel free to daydream and watch the screen in the next few minutes as the titles come up for the different topics I've got planned. Um, So, but the other, I was trying not to be a person that reacted to stats, especially since I'm looking at them every day. I do admit to watching them sometimes minute by minute, um, and it's fun when they suddenly rocket. So before I lose my train of thought, about 6 weeks ago, into the middle of March, on the 9th of March, I had a very strange experience where there was suddenly, I went under 10 views a day for a good nearly 2 weeks for the first time since the channel was launched. And it really pissed me off. And I couldn't work out why. I just could not work out why. And I'd sworn I was never going to be a person who reacts stats. But guess what I did? I reacted. And I couldn't work out whether it was because I'd uploaded about 30 videos um, into Premiere mode, and I was wondering whether that was affecting the channel. So I reacted by changing the scheduling, where I changed them all to private. Um, and then all of a sudden on the 10th of March, I had, and I'm pretty sure it was just one person watched easily 2.5 hours of one commentary video, and all of a sudden, in March, I was traveling very badly in March, where I was down 60% on watch time for the month of March, and then by the end of March, all of a sudden, I had 9.6 hours viewed for the month of March, which is about 3 hours. It was about 3 hours better than my previous best. So it had been inching up gradually from 5.2 to 5.4 to 6, and January was uh, uh, 6.2 hours, I think, for the month. And then all of a sudden, so yes, I have been reacting to stats, and to the point where I actually rescheduled all those private videos to become public again. But I just had to acknowledge that stats were saying that you've got to get a better, camera, better audio, um, because maybe that's the problem. Now I don't know whether it is. Because the other thing I've realised is that by having a strategy and having topics that people are searching for, and I know that they're using search to come across these topics, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're looking for walking video content on these topics. But if they're not, now they know it exists. Anyway, so retention. I'm not getting a lot of return viewers at the moment. Pretty much the majority, 80% of my viewers are new viewers, which doesn't bother me, to be honest. But I'm after 6 months, and now I've got 16 subscribers. You you would think that those subscribers are going to be returning, because they're subscribed because they like your content, and you would think they're going to return via new videos. Well, in the last, say, 8 days, the videos, there's 2 new videos a week. You would think that each new video does attract more views, and the views for those premiering videos are between 0 and 5. So there's still a lot to find out. But am I pinning all my hopes on the new camera? Well, I'm going to say no, because regardless of whether in 6 months' time, am I going to have 32 subscribers and only 72 hours of watch time? Well, so what? So what? Um, it's all in the trying, isn't it? Like, you got to try. So we'll go into YouTube optimization, and we're at an hour 40, so we've got another 20 minutes left. So I'm tracking all right here as far as time and topics go. So I'm the sort of person who makes a full effort. Now, I've just suddenly thought of a funny anecdote with regards to YouTube optimization. So, um, in your analytics, you'll see that there's one particular section where it tells you about where viewers are coming from when they click on your video by way of watching someone else's video, probably down the right hand side, I guess most of the time. Now, I came across I came across a walking video. I came across a walking video that wasn't from a walking video content channel. When I looked into the background of the reason it caught my attention is because this bloke's video had the same exact title as one of my videos. So flattery, imitation is the best form of flattery, is it? So I felt I, it didn't bother me too much that I looked into the background of his channel, and his channel started off as a gaming content channel, and I saw that he had another video that copied the 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 style of my descriptions and titles, and then about 3 weeks ago, he popped up again in my analytics, and I saw that he'd done another new video. Now, this time I did get a bit more reactionary. um, I wasn't laughing, and I went through his content library a bit more closely, and I saw that he had about 5 to 6 videos that were exact copies of my style of walking video in the exact same areas I'd been, except for one area. And I got really animated, and then I calmed down because I saw the length of his videos were barely 2 minutes. The longest was 5 minutes, and he didn't do any optimization, and by that I mean he didn't have any playlists. He didn't have any. He didn't have anything. So I sort of also assumed that he didn't have tags or end screens or cards. So then I stopped. I stopped carrying on, and realised that he wasn't competition for me because I have. I'm not a competitive person by nature, but I'm competitive in that I want to do something well when I do it, and it's mainly for my benefit that I'm competitive against myself. So, in being competitive, I'm the sort of person who does everything correctly to the nth degree. So, YouTube optimization, I don't know how it is for most people. Where are we going? How did we get here? We're just starting the Melbourne Laneways video. This was an accidental one. That I just was going to office works in the middle of the city, and I was waiting for them to open. And you got two choices. I didn't want a coffee. That was one choice. So you can either, and I found myself. I didn't want to stand outside the shop, and I found myself looking up into the air at these buildings, and I realised there's construction had finished in this area, and I just filmed that off the cuff without intending to. There you go. So always be open to the moment is the message of that little comment. But yeah, YouTube optimization it can be time consuming, I guess. But if you're not that disciplined, it'd be easy to skip over those steps. But you've got to make the effort, and you've I suppose thumbnails is a slightly different topic, so maybe I'll leave that to them. But keywords, you got to put some time and effort into those, and tags and descriptions, and those three things are really about your audience. So, do you know who your audience is? Is what I'm trying to say. And this channel, I've gone to a lot of effort, put in a lot of thought. Like, who is besides somebody who wants to just gaze at a video of a camera
I'm the bloke who walks.
walking aimlessly
The
down a
journey of a
street,
thousand
there's got
steps
to be a broader
begins with a walk.
application of effort and
Let's
thought,
go.
doesn't there? I would have thought. So, those keywords have got to capture, well, who is the person? Who are you trying to... The keywords are helping you describe the search, the person is plugging in the tags. You got to think like beyond the keywords and the tags, like who is the person? Why are they plugging in those search terms? Um, that's those keywords and tags only exist by way of the person who's generating those keywords and tags. And the description is now. I actually, being completely honest, I think the description elements of each video for this channel are still really poor. I think I've got a lot of improving to do on those yet. By nature, I'm quite verbose, um, and that shows in the style of video that I film and publish. It shows in the description of the videos, and I've still got a bit to improve on there. But my main goal, and I'll say it again, is to just create and publish, create and publish. Get the videos up there, get the videos up there. So now that I've got a library of 150 videos after 6 months, now I can start drilling down into the detail and getting the detail uh, right and improve it. Um, for me, the most time consuming, if I could skip over at the cards, um, I find creating the cards it's quite time consuming. I tend to front load all mine, um, one after the other, because I figure if people aren't going to watch the first 30 seconds, they're not going to find a card that's planted 5, 10, 60 minutes into your video, are they? So you might as well plug it up the front. The end screen, yeah, that's only a pain unless you pick a video to import from which doesn't have an end screen itself. Um, so getting onto thumbnails, and I'm going to make this a separate item in the menu at 1:46. We've got about 15 to 20 minutes left, so I'm pretty pleased with how this is panning out. Um, and we're in ACDC lane at the moment, and I did 4 laps. I did 4 laps that day because I wanted to, and I will just briefly chat about this video in itself. I didn't want to walk once around the lanes. I wanted to walk with the camera. I didn't want to walk, waving the camera from side to side. So I walked down the lane with the camera. And then I walked. I did a second lap pointing the camera left at the left wall, and then another third lap pointing the camera at the right wall, and the fourth lap was just to cover off anything I might have missed. So something that could have been quite short and straightforward um, became quite. I think it became over an hour, that video. So I just want to talk about thumbnails. So I'll just change that to an hour 47. So the thumbnails have been easily the most time consuming process of the post production process. So I suppose you could say that the three things that take the most effort are the filming, the editing, and the thumbnails. Now, the thumbnails I've found, I don't mind creating them. Uh, and I create them out of a screenshot using the editing software. I don't stop filming just to photograph something that's going to end up as a thumbnail, because that, to me, that's just a waste of time. Uh, you're in the moment while you're filming, so why stop and start creating a different digital asset? When you're downloading from your card and your camera, like the you got to go searching for the and you might take more than one JPEG file. So I've found it's just better to expedite it, the whole process. Just take a screenshot out of your final footage. Now, what I think is possibly a problem for this. for this channel. I don't know. I can't prove it. But if the thumbnail is supposed to be the window for a particular video, there's no way known a single thumbnail can accurately represent all of the footage that appears in the video. I don't think a walking video. You're covering so much territory on some of these longer walks. Um, so you know, if I choose an active thumbnail, and by active I mean something with action in it. So for for one of my videos from Blackburn to Box Hill, for the Laburnum to Box Hill part, I've got a screenshot of a train coming out of Laburnum station accelerating. Now, if you saw that thumbnail, you would think probably, possibly, and I wouldn't blame you if you thought that whole video was about trains. Well, it's not. That thumbnail represents maybe 30 seconds of footage where the 40 minutes of footage is actually walking us along a train line. Now, if the thumbnail is supposed to sell the idea of a video, um, you know, somebody could click out of that video within the first 5 to 20 to 30 seconds thinking, well, that thumbnail misrepresented this video. So I think that's still an issue. So what I've noticed, uh, even before I started, I noticed a lot of walking videos, they have very little text on their thumbnails, um, or some of them have no text. Now, my thumbnails have a lot of text. Um, Early on, I had the title, the video title, as the thumbnail text. And once I found my way onto Canva, the website Canva, and I was able to manipulate the images against the text more efficiently. So I've just got a tiny little block. Um, I settled on having a tiny little block, which I probably don't need of the title of the channel, but I've settled on having uh, text across the top of the screen, or if it doesn't fit on the top, on the left-hand side of the image in the space. So they're definitely very text heavy. My thumbnail. So is that another issue holding back people from clicking the thumbnail and clicking through? I think I've got about another 20 minutes left, possibly of talking. Dear, oh dear. So the good thing is, I think there's room for improvement in thumbnails. I don't know whether the new camera, by way of being better quality, 4K a 4K screenshot, will be any more attractive. I don't know, but I think another 6 months. I would like to think that in another 6 months I'll have settled on an answer for a style of thumbnail that is universal in its appeal. That that maybe it's more suggestive, because one thing I know for sure is that for a video that premieres and it's set to premiere, when it's because it's such a low quality pixel thumbnail, when you click on that premiere, it's a very poor quality larger image, obviously. But it's all up for discussion. I really don't know. Like I I'm not too sure what the viewers' thoughts are on thumbnails. I can only assume that those thoughts are positive because you're clicking on them and you're watching them. But um, I suppose I've got a lot of videos that have very low watch time, very low CTR. Um, so, but is it because of the thumbnail or is it because the video quality? Well, that's focus group stuff. Now you can see with this video at the end of at the end of the ACDC Lane one, because it was published in late January, February. It was still early enough in the year to be having this little spiel about new content. Now, this particular shot and starting and finishing in this particular building is what gave me an idea for a new series that I'm working on, which requires a lot more interaction with the institutions that occupy these buildings. So I want to film a video inside that building, the foyer at the front and the back. And that's given me cause to. I've spent the last couple of weeks. I'll go into that at the end actually. Um, rather than crap on about that now. So is that all I've got to say about thumbnails? Um, yeah, I suppose so. Like I've had a lot of fun with them actually. Like it's definitely a challenge trying to pick out a thumbnail that gives a good that sells the idea of the whole video. So I suppose my most popular video as of 2 or 3 days ago is the Monash Uni one. It's orientation week, and I managed to get a screenshot of three Asian girls walking together. They're reasonably good looking, and they've got masks on, and there's also students in the background distance behind them, and you can just tell from their body language and the suggestion of the surroundings that it is a university campus. And I think that thumbnail really works well and marries together, the idea of the content uh, with 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 what actually is delivered. And I think it's the old story. You got to promise. You got to deliver what you promise, and that's true of any retail or sales situation. How do we get here? Where are we going? Now, this video, we're up to the video of no we're up to the video of walking around the docklands. And I wanted to finish off this particular compilation video with the most recent videos that really visually say, look at where we've got to now. We're filming in the city at the docklands at the height of summer at sunset. There's lots of people around. The video following this, I can't quite remember, but the video that finishes this compilation video that I'm commentating on right now is the footy is back video. Uh, the crowd's coming in, streaming into the MCG now. I think these last three videos, are so different, so different to the first three videos that you can, in one sitting, watching this compilation of stitched together videos over the 6 months of life of this channel, the first 6 months of this channel's life. You can see how much it's evolved. You can see just in this the evolution of my filming technique. You can see the evolution of the style, the nature. You can get a sense of my personality, what I'm drawn to, what I like to see, what I like to film. Parts of the city. You might know Melbourne. You might not know Melbourne had a harbour. You might be living in Australia and you might not even know Melbourne had a harbour. I mean, there's things we all know about our own living environments that only a local would know, that a person who visits every so often from interstate wouldn't know. And this is what I'm trying to show off about Melbourne. I'm trying to show off these views of Melbourne, these locations, these aspects, these different vantage points that only a local would know. That there's so much more to Melbourne than meets the eye. We're not just a city that has a dirty brown river running through it. So that's all for thumbnails. So I want to talk about push and pull. Now, what do I mean by that?
And we
Um,
hope that where you
when I
are,
say push and pull,
there's lots of
well,
Christmas cheer ahead for you and into
the
the new
pull
year.
part is YouTube, isn't it? That YouTube, by its nature, is pulling people towards it with content. And if you're creating content for YouTube,
Welcome to
you're
this walking
relying
live.
on the pulling
Today
power
we're in Melbourne,
of the
Australia.
platform to get you an
And today
audience.
we're walking from the centre of
And
Melbourne.
because I'm creating walking video content, I'm relying on
And
the
then
pulling power of
onto the
YouTube and
connecting
the
at the
pulling
Queen
power
Victoria
of
Market.
a known niche in YouTube. That is the attraction of my content for people that want to watch this sort of content, isn't it? They want to be pulled in by the fact that it's on YouTube, the fact that it's a walking video, and then they want to be pulled in by the quality of the video, which is the quality of the footage and the quality of the audio. But everybody's doing that, aren't they? So how do you stand out? So hopefully, what this compilation video, where are we going, how do we get here, is helping you now form an opinion that there's many different things that go in towards pulling people to your video, but you can also push your video content towards people, and by having a strategy of playlists, by having a strategy about who is your audience, having a strategy of, well, what topics are gonna am I gonna set my video to? What shooting style? What music? What editing style? What equipment? What audience? What YouTube? So all these things going towards, well, how can I push my content out to viewers that they then are encouraged to be pulled in by what I've got. So what I'm trying to lead to is, one of my themes has been international student education. So if I want international students and people in universities and international student education recruitment agents who sell courses in Australia to parents of kids overseas who pay for the course, how do I push these videos towards those people so they watch them? Well, the first thing I had to do was create the videos, obviously, but just because it's on YouTube and just because it's got descriptions and keywords and tags and all this business, does that mean they're going to watch them? Well, no. So you've got to push it out. So last week was the culmination of um, a very long production and uh, and process where I published and distributed a media release on my own website and LinkedIn. But not only did I publish it on those two places, I also emailed the media release to the international the international student recruitment agents in Malaysia, India, Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam, the Philippines. So I'm pushing out my video content to these people, giving them the opportunity to discover the content because I've pushed it towards them and given them the tools to click through and view the video. Um, so that's what I mean by push versus pull. Like there's no reason why you can't promote uh, your content yourself. Now, the other way of pushing your content out is to get into the whole influencer market. That's not for me. I don't believe in it. It doesn't suit my personality. Branded content where you're shooting videos that you know that promote or um, help market a certain brand. I don't know that that's something I want to get too involved in with this particular channel. Um, but and then there's sponsored content. So obviously an obvious one for me would be to knock on Sony's door and say, well, can you sponsor my new camera instead of me buying it? But another, and you will have seen this, and yes, it's come up. Another way of pushing your content out there, if you're not already aware, and this is something that very few content creators for YouTube know about because they're not. It's not in their mindset, I don't think. But there's other platforms you can publish your content to, and this is a good segue into my next menu topic at 2 minutes 04. Um, is video on demand platforms. That if your content is of a high enough quality, there are video online content marketplace platforms that act as a go-between, is the best way to put it, between you, the content creator, and people who want to buy content. Now, this sort of dips into my background as a how did we get here? Where are we going? This is the second last video, I think, and this is perfect timing. This is the Monash University orientation week video. Now I can completely confess that this was a total accident. I had no intention of going to orientation week at Monash. Do you know? I went down to the local train station for a completely different reason, to do some filming down there, and it just happened to be that I had to get the bus past Monash, and it just made sense to go to Monash to do some filming for this particular series on international student education. And to my happy surprise, I got there perfectly, the perfect time in the morning that it was orientation week. And this video has suddenly, in 4 weeks, become my best performing video. Is the most amount of searches, not the most amount of watch time, but it's getting there, but the most amount of views, the most popular. And it's just literally just walking around campus, and the idea being to show overseas, people overseas, parents of kids overseas who want to come to Australia but can't get back in the country, international student recruitment agents whose whole business is built upon marketing courses from international universities for kids to buy so they earn a commission, showing them that life at Australian university campuses in Melbourne, they're back up and running. So lucky me, basically, and brilliant weather as well, and plenty of activity. So I want so if I take this as a perfect example of content that these video online content marketplaces, they're looking to buy content with a difference, well-made content that has an audience, defined audience, and that's my thumbnail. Just walk past. Um, so be aware that these other options exist, and it goes back to create something once, sell it many times. So the beauty of these places are that they will buy your content, whether you're uploading to YouTube or not, whether you've sold them to another platform or not. So this all comes under the heading of, I nearly dropped something. It all comes under the heading of content licensing and distribution. And I'm just going to make a note of that. Content L&D, content licensing and distribution. And going all right for time here. We've got about 10 minutes. 10 minutes left. Try to think outside the square and try to push yourself, because it will take extra work. It will be time consuming, but the opportunities are there. At its most basic, you can think of this as you can make more money off the same content. It's possible. Now, I can't speak with any authority because I haven't done this myself yet, and that's just being completely transparent. But I also haven't made money off YouTube yet, and that's what you're all aiming for, isn't it? So explore these opportunities. If you do a Google search on OTT platforms, if you do a Google search for online content marketplace. I'm not going to give you the names of the buyers uh, who I'm not going to give you the name of the platforms where people can buy our content off, because that's just giving away very valuable information for nothing. Now I'm open to consulting um, any YouTube, any content creator, whether it's podcasting, video, whatever. But I'm a professional, and my time is valuable, and I like helping people. But um, my knowledge doesn't come for free. And although these commentaries are geared towards sharing what I know, I've got to put a certain monetary value on what I know, because it's taken me 17 years to teach myself all this and to do it. And you'd be a fool if you just gave away everything you know. Um, so finishing up, we've got about 10 to 15 minutes left, so that's plenty of time. So I might segue slightly that the next topic being architecture. Um, so I've talked a bit about themed content, which is these university campus tours, which is under the broad umbrella of international student education, which is a playlist series on my channel. So now, over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been location scouting and approaching in person and by email. I've got a new project on architecture, and the architecture is going to showcase architecture in Collins Street in Melbourne. And it's literally simply going to be walking through the foyer of a building, such as the one you saw before at the end of the ACDC video. Um, or you can watch that video separately. Um, and I got that idea, and it was just a random idea. I know nothing about architecture, but it seemed to me to be a good topic to focus on. I'll learn something about architecture. I haven't seen any walking video content inside big corporate buildings, and it just tap into my tap into my knowledge and skills base. I've had a lot of experience organising film productions and photo shoots um, with commercial photographers as well, um, and this will give me the opportunity to just tap into my corporate side and try and establish relationships with people who represent building maintenance in these places and just ask for permission. Um, and you know, I can actually see a TV series in this. Believe it or not, if you're familiar with Great British Railway Journeys and that former politician with the stuffy accent jumping on and off trains all over Europe and England. I can see this becoming a TV series. Somebody who's passionate about architecture, talking about it on camera and talking to the people who designed it, the people who built it, and talk to the people who work in it. But that's a long way off the track. But down the track. But the main thing is to um, establish relationships, not with the right people, get the right permission, and get the right sign off. Because there's no point trying to do it in secret and carry the camera concealed and do that. I'm a person who does things properly, so go through the right channels, get the right permission, and hopefully you can send the video to them later on and say, well, look, with your help, I achieved this, and it's all in the name of destination marketing and keeping Melbourne alive as a brand while the borders are shut, and also give an example of what a great place Melbourne is to live and work. So we're heading into the final seconds of the Monash Uni video. and we're about to head into the last video in this compilation for this video. And how did we get here? Where are we going? And so this is the video filmed outside the Melbourne Cricket Ground at the end of March, and so I'll just do that. 2:13. I'm going to do that. So I've got plenty of time. I think this goes for about 10 minutes, maybe 12. So the last item on my menu, my topic of conversation menu, is comments and likes. And this won't take long, so then I can just do my usual thing and ramble. So comments and likes, I've had 100% positive feedback so far about this channel. So I think I've had about 40 likes. So that's nice. I think the most likes for one video has been 3. Yeah, comments. I haven't had any negative comments. Somebody did comment that the video footage was shaky, and that was fair enough because it is, and that was just to be expected. That didn't bother me. But I'm not really getting comments. I'm not really getting comments that help me improve the videos. I'm not really getting comments that reinforce what I'm trying to do with the videos. But the fact that I am getting comments is very much appreciated. Because it's a nice surprise, that someone is taking the time to watch, and I can. It's a funny old thing. The analytics is that you can see how long somebody watches, although it's a tricky one, the watch time for a particular day, because the moment. So somebody can watch for 10 minutes, and then somebody can come in and watch the same video on the same day, but they might only watch for 5 seconds, and suddenly that 10-minute watch time is cut down in 2 automatically straight away. So, but it's not too problematic, but it has been. I have, and I hope you guys don't mind if you've commented and you're listening. I did actually use all of the comments that were left on the channel so far. I did plonk them in the media release. So if you go to my LinkedIn profile, which is if you just search for Wise Words Media in LinkedIn, you'll find me easily enough. You'll see that in one of the media releases, I put all the comments in as a way of reinforcing that this channel's been well received. Comment for it, but I don't know. I don't know that comments and likes are really driving me as far as positivity and motivation goes. Like I know that there's an audience out there for this channel. Like I know that for sure. But over the top of that, I will say that I am the prime audience of concern for this channel, because if I don't like the video that I'm producing, I take a great deal of care, as best as I can, over the editing side of it. I try to produce the best video possible. I try not to cut corners. If you think that I'm cutting corners, or if you think that I'm not trying to make a good video, if you think it looks sloppy, I'd really appreciate you to either make a comment or email me that your feedback. But I don't think it is. I think it is what it is. Like it's a bloke walking around the streets in public with a camera. I mean, you can't get much more simple than that, can you? And here we are walking around the members of the MCG, and I love this bit because it's the first time I've been in a crowd for a year, and it was a bit nerve-wracking. and coming around the corner is the Carlton supporter. She's going to hit us right here. Slows down, bang! Excellent. I'm just making a note of that. Yeah. She didn't hit me so hard that the camera jolted loose from my grasp. But anyway, so we've got about I don't know, we've got about 5 minutes left maybe. So I'm just going to enjoy watching this video with you guys. If you're still watching, if you're still listening, I hope you are. And I'd really appreciate if you found this video useful. Like, I had this idea on Good Friday, which was 3 days ago now, and it kind of made sense. Like, it was like a retrospective compilation of all the videos I've published so far. Even though all of my master videos have a commentary on them, the idea of putting together a compilation, and just for my own benefit, to go back in time to that first, those first 3 videos that I filmed from, walking around my local area, because that's, the only scope that was available, the only area that was available to walk in at the time because of the COVID restrictions. But just to see how tired I was from living under those restrictions, um, the fatigue of, the unknown popping up in the news felt like every hour, didn't it? I can see the fatigue. I can see, you know, I can just see a different person there. But it's just nice to see that contrasted with, these last 3 videos, the different energy. Melbourne starting to come to life. I can really see throughout the themes that I've chosen to create videos on, the locations I've chosen to go. I was down at the MCG in late December filming before the cricket, and there was just no one there. And it's really nice to get to see that I've been back to film on a different day, and it's just chock a block with what is normal, almost normal crowd size. Um, I don't think this compilation video suffers too much from the fact that I've chopped it and changed it, or chopped the footage up so much and cut so much out, and I've sped it up just to make it shorter. It was 7 hours long when I put them all in, um, and it's taken me 2.5 days to create this video. Now, I don't know how you can possibly turn over video content faster, to be honest. If anyone knows, please tell me. But the only way I can see to make this process more efficient is to hand over the footage to a dedicated editor who I can pay
Welcome to This
to
Walking
take
Life.
over the
Today we're in Melbourne,
post-production process.
Australia,
But,
and Melbourne is
you
back.
know,
The footy is back. AFL Round
I've got
1,
to be
Season
honest and say that I
2021,
actually like
Tigers versus
doing
Blues.
all the work.
Let's
I actually
go.
like, you know, being the one that does everything. Not because I'm a control freak. I'm far from that. I don't have an ounce of control in me in terms of personality, but it's just something nice having ownership over something that's yours, that you've conceived and dreamt up, and then, that's what I go back. I did say this before, but what I really, as a creative, as somebody who's written short stories, short plays, short films, uh, long length plays for the stage, produced those scripts. Music videos. I've written scripts for music videos. I've performed in amateur musicals and short films, student films, indie films, commercial films. I've got to say that this is the most satisfying stuff I've done. Oh, and I forgot about the guitar and the open mic nights, but this is the most satisfying because uh, from the moment I uh, conceive an idea to the moment I'm looking at the finished product and commentating on it, and even while it's 5 months old sitting up on the channel. That content, like this is the most satisfying medium in that I can see I can see what I've done, and I'm getting some sort of physical and metaphysical feedback or satisfaction on what I've conceived and produced. Create, publish, distribute is really the three key words, and for you know performing. This beats performing, this beats writing, this beats acting, this beats musicals by a long bloody way. Um, so yeah, there's a real high element of satisfaction with this, even though it's such a crude, simple thing to do. Just walk around the street in public with the camera. There's still an element of professionalism that has to go into it. There's still elements of creativity. There's it can be marketed, which feeds into the other side of my personality. It can be marketed. You can write media releases. You can push it out to people. So I hope that this commentary and the 15 that came before it are useful. Someone, if they're not, I hope that they're interesting in some way to listen to, whether it's the whole thing or 5 minutes or 2 minutes. If it's not useful, if it's not interesting, at least it is to me, basically. So um, I suppose that's what we're aiming for, isn't it? That whatever it is we're doing means something to ourselves. We've got maybe 2 to 3, 5 minutes left, so we'll just ramble on here. But yeah, there's that flare into the sun that I was talking about. See the way the sun's flaring through that tree and that purple streak, white purple streak of sun flare coming down. Now I love that. Now, not being a camera person, not being a technical person, and not being too fussy generally, I just love that. So I hope the Sony I hope I can achieve the same sort of sun flare with the Sony. Now, is that annoying you watching that with that double speed footage? It's not annoying me, but yeah, that's the MCG, and it was just really nice to 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 um, to be there. I've slowed this down for you, so it's at normal speed. This bit, I hope. Um, and you can see the difference. Now you can see the difference in the body language. I'm looking the camera straight in the eye. That was all totally off the cuff. That was my second. I did film two of those actually, but you can just see the difference, and you can just see how relaxed I look. Probably looking a bit more refreshed than in the first video. There's a bloke going to wave here in a second, a Carlton supporter. Here he comes with the scarf. There it is. Um, so so yeah, it's been a very helpful exercise to me to put these 15 episodes together to sort of take the time to mentally go back 6 months. It does seem a lifetime ago. It doesn't really feel like it's been 6 months. And I've got to say, it doesn't really feel um, right this second like it's been 12 months. It's just the weirdest feeling to be sitting here a year after COVID did all our lives. It's just mind blowing how things have panned out this last year, isn't it? But if you've been a person who've watched and or listened to these commentaries and the other videos at any time since the 1st of October, thanks so much. It's much appreciated. Um, I I have found that I enjoy making these videos. I've found that I'm going to keep trying to make them until something else takes my attention away from making them. But for the moment, this is taking up pretty much all my time. Um, I can happily say that I'm happy to invest in upgrading the camera. Happy to keep making more of these. There's lots more things around Melbourne to film and put up. Um, we'll see if the new camera makes a difference. I expect it will. If it doesn't, well, you know, the main thing is we're not going backwards. Like people haven't been dropping off. People aren't watching less, and I know that there's an audience out there for this content. Um, and it's just so strange. It's just, whoever would have thought, I never would have thought, even 5 years ago, I never would have thought I'd be doing this. But then I never would have thought that people were doing this in the first place. And I certainly never would have thought that this sort of footage would be something that people would want to watch. Um, but I think COVID's kind of helped that in a way. But yeah, it's all about the skills really, because the skills that go into making this are the same as the skills that go into creating anything. You've got to have an idea, you've got to produce that idea, you've got to execute that idea, and you've got to put that idea out there in the world. Because as David Lynch says, once you fall in love with an idea, you've got to commit, and that's probably as good as place to any to finish off this commentary. I'm the bloke who walks. You've been
Welcome
watching
to this walking life
the
at St
content creator
Melbourne Australia.
summary
And Melbourne is back.
for
Footy is back. AFL round one,
the
season
first 6 months
2021.
of
Tigers
this
versus
Walking
Blues.
Life,
Let's go.
episodes 1 to 15. This is the 16th commentary. There'll be more to come, um, uh, and they'll be coming by way of the comedy festival. I've got footage in the can for these three festivals. Um, yeah, there'll be more commentaries. So wherever you are in the world, if you're in Canada, America, Brazil, England, Ireland, Europe, Germany, how did we get here? Where are we going? I'm the bloke who walks. This is This Walking Life from Melbourne, Australia. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the next video. And we'll talk to you in the next commentary. See you soon. Chat to you soon. Bye for now.